Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Mama Mudhoni or Rangashi Kehara. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about having a newborn and a toddler at home. I know it's one of those things that sometimes seem very scary. Sometimes you get there and you're feeling so overwhelmed and you just do not know what to do. I got my first baby, my second child, when my first was, let's say 2 years, exactly 2 years apart, and it was not an easy transition. And in fact, a lot of moms say that the transition from having one child to 2 children is harder than the transition from having no children to 1 child. And I found it to be very difficult, and some of the things that I battled with were mom guilt, aggression, jealousy, you know, like all these things. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So is it difficult? It's difficult. Is it stressful? It's stressful. But one of the things that you need to remember, just like the stressful time with your first baby, the stressful time when you're having your second baby is very short-lived. It seems like forever when you're deep in the thick of things, but even if it is long, it is a year. A year is a very short time compared to the 50 years that you're going to be parenting these children, or 60 years. So it might seem long, but it's actually very short-lived. And you need to hold on to that, knowing that it's just a transition for everybody. The same way that you're struggling with now juggling two, the toddler is also now struggling with having this new child. And oftentimes their life has been a certain way from the time they were conceived alone. Or if they were twins, they were just the two of them. And then now all of a sudden, so now they were born, there was mom, there was dad, if dad is there, you know, they're used to life being a certain way. And then now all of a sudden life has changed. So for them also, the transition is hard and it's difficult. But it does get better. So I'm just going to put this into points. I always have notes because I forget. Feelings of the first child. You need to be very cognizant that this baby is experiencing a whole new thing. And the example that I like to give, that I was also given during my baby shower, is imagine if today, for those of you who are married, but I'm sure everybody can imagine this. Imagine if today your husband came home and told you, by the way, this is my second wife. This is your second wife also. You have to love this woman. You have to help me take care of her. And by the way, leave our bed. This is her bed now. And you have to help me choose her clothes. And you must love her. There's no option. You can't be mean to her. She's our second wife. How are you going to feel? How are you going to feel? Because did you go to your child and consult your child about having a second born? No. You just decided. So even if you are preparing your toddler for the newborn coming, they do not really completely understand, especially if it's a toddler, not a 5-year-old, 6-year-old. They don't completely understand. When the child comes, it's a whole foreign thing, and them, all they know and all that they're experiencing is mom is now no longer available for me. Mom no longer loves me. Mom is spending all the time with this child because, I mean, this baby needs to be breastfed and stuff. And it's completely like having a second wife. May not be devastated, and I feel like majority of women would be devastated and be like, what the hell is going on? And there's no option of leaving. Because you see, now if today your husband came and told you, hey, see, this is the second wife, you can tell him, bro, bye. But for the baby, hakuna option. The baby must stay with you and live with this new situation, and it's difficult and it's a whole melee of emotions. So it's very important for you to be very patient and gracious with this baby, and it's very important for you to be very gracious and patient with yourself and also with your spouse and everybody else in the home, because you're all experiencing a new thing. Mom guilt is also very important. One of the things that makes moms feel guilty is remembering the amount of time and attention you gave your first baby when they were infants versus now how much you're being able to give the second child when they're an infant. And it's not possible to give the same amount of time that you gave your first. It's not possible. Especially if your second is a toddler. If your second is a preschooler and is going to school and stuff, the preschooler is away for maybe 7 hours a day. So there's time there where you can compensate and give more time to the infant. But remember, this other one will still come back home and you still have to divide your time. So it is thoroughly impossible to actually divide the time between the two. So it's one of those things that you just have to accept and know that now this experience with this child is going to be different. It doesn't make you a bad mom. It's just a different experience. And this baby doesn't even know any different. They just know the experience that they're having. So just embrace it and just know that whatever amount of time that you're giving this baby is very okay. And whatever amount of time you're being able to divide is very okay. But remember, your first child is the one with feelings, they're the ones with memories, they're the ones who know what it used to feel like with mom hugging me all the time. So you actually need to give more time and attention to the first child than the second child. I'm not saying neglect the second child, it's just that you need to be very conscientious about how much time and love and hugs and things that you're doing with the firstborn, and especially with the first child alone. I've said the firstborn, but it doesn't have to be a firstborn, but with the older child by themselves. Another thing that you need to consider is also how you're coming back home from the hospital. What I suggest is you have somebody else carry the baby, dad, your mom, an aunt, somebody else carry the infant home so that you're ready to receive your older child, and then now it will be you introducing the toddler to the infant. People say that gifts work. We did the gifting, where my infant gifted the toddler. We gifted a potty, the potties that you walk on top, like they have a ladder and you sit, because I needed to buy one anyway. So that's what we gifted. So you can gift something that you know that your toddler has been wanting, so that now it becomes a bit more inviting for the toddler. And the thing about you now being the one to receive your child is that the child does not already feel like my mom has already been taken by this infant. It is you receiving your toddler. Oh, how are you? I love you. I've missed you so much. How have you been? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I brought your brother home. Assuming that you've been talking to this child about it during pregnancy, because it's very important for you to be talking to your toddler about it during pregnancy. Oh, come kiss the baby. Come tell the baby I love you. Come, let's pray with the baby. Oh, let's go and shop for the baby. This is your sister. You know you have to be taking care of your sister the way mommy takes care of you. Like, these are conversations you constantly need to have with your baby over months during pregnancy. You might think that this 13-month-old, 15-month-old is not understanding, but with time they will get it. And then you'll tell them the baby is going to come from mommy's tummy. You can even watch videos, you can read a book about all these things just to prepare the toddler for what is coming. So you've come home, you've received your baby, then you've introduced the toddler to the infant. Then from there, involve the toddler a lot with the daily things that are happening in the house. So for example, make it your baby's choice. Oh, I'm about to breastfeed Toto. Where do I sit? Then he chooses, and then you sit. And then, of course, you make sure that you're giving the toddler 2 options that are comfortable for you. Or it's time to change the diaper, or take care of the baby. Let's go take the diapers. You know, just involve the baby. Let's go choose an outfit. Which color do you want the baby to wear? And then the baby wears. So that now it becomes, it's our baby. It is not mommy's baby, because you'll hear that a lot. Mommy's baby is there. Mommy is there with her baby. But it becomes our baby. The more you involve the toddler, the more the toddler feels ownership and feels like they are part of this new child. In terms of dividing time, it's very important to try and get one-on-one time with the baby. So one of the things that you can do is infants nap a lot. Toddlers generally nap once or twice. So during one of the naps of the infant, the newborn, then you get that time to go out with the toddler, play with him or her, take him or her for a walk, go and kick a ball, something like that. Another thing that I found very important for me that kept my sanity and just brought calmness to the house, when my toddler and infant, so my toddler was 2, then the infant was a newborn, would sleep many times. So I'd ensure that 2 of those naps were at the same time so that I have downtime for myself. Then now when my toddler was only on 1 nap, I'd still ensure that my infants, I kind of put my babies on a sleep-ish routine, but not a feeding routine. I'll talk about that in another video. So the long nap that usually maybe around between 11 and 1 or 12 and 2, I would ensure that both of them were asleep. That way I have time to myself. The nanny also has time to herself to do things. I generally have 2 house helps, so it doesn't stop work from happening. But when there's calmness and downtime in the house, it generally just helps everybody to reset, because toddlers are a lot of work and infants are also a lot of work. It's very normal to experience aggression from the toddler towards the the newborn. How to deal with this: do not chapa. Chapa is pinch. Do not punish physically. Even try your best not to punish. I experienced this with my child, and I remember there's a time Modoni actually took my phone. I don't know where my phone, it was actually almost this size, I don't know about when it was, and hit my son's head, pa! And then took the phone again and hit him again, pa! And then of course I went, because being the African parent I am, you go and you tuna is pinch. And then with time I realized that what I'm doing is not working, because she kept being aggressive to the child. But what I was reinforcing to her is, mommy is frustrated with you, and because mommy is frustrated with you, I'm going to use a mwiko. Mwiko is like a wooden thing to chapa your bum bum, or I'm going to smack the bum or smack somewhere because mommy is frustrated. So what will she do when she's frustrated with her brother? Same thing that you're doing. You cannot solve aggression with aggression. You cannot stop a child from beating another child with beating, because all you'd be doing is reinforcing the behavior and reinforcing that this is what you should be doing when you're frustrated. So actually I went on Instagram and I asked guys, what do I do? This thing is really stressing me out. And what I was told is love on the child. And that's what I did. And each time she would smack the brother or act in ways that were not nice, I would hug her and I would assure her that I love her. And I would tell her how much I love her, and I would tell her that her brother loves her too. And I would tell her, you know, I love you, and I always take care of you. I always love you. I always make sure that you're fine. So even you love your brother, and you have to make sure that your brother is okay. You can't beat your brother, and also your brother has to do the same for you. And it worked so much that my son is a bit rough. And it got to a point now where my son would now bully the sister, but Modoni would never be able to hit back, because to her, she's supposed to be gentle and loving and kind to the brother. So sometimes she'd ask me, how come me I'm being gentle and kind and he's not doing the same? So now I had to to reinforce now with the brother that he has to take care of the sister and they have to love each other. So now the fights ended. But yeah, this is about infants and toddlers. I hope you've gotten that point. Also remember that your toddler doesn't exactly know what they're doing, and they do not exactly understand the repercussions of what they are doing. So it is you as the adult to regulate your feelings and emotions and not act out, because again, if you act out, your child will act out. So it's you to come down, come to their level and explain why beating is not a solution, why beating is not what should be happening, and that if they're frustrated, they should come to you and tell you that, Mommy, I'm not very happy because of ABCD. It's also very normal for you to experience a regression with your toddler. And by regression, what I mean is your baby deciding that now, if your baby was walking, now they're not walking anymore. If your baby was talking, now they're not talking anymore. They're babbling. If your baby had stopped peeing during the day, they're now peeing during the day. If your baby had stopped breastfeeding, they now want to breastfeed more. All of that is very normal, and it's because of the amount of time and things that they're saying you're doing for this child. And they also just want to be treated the same. So how to solve this is, one, do not beat your baby to talk. Do not beat your baby to, or punish them to do the things that they were doing before. Love on your child. Love on your baby. Reassure them that they are still your baby, that you still love them. Ensure that they feel affirmed and that you're also involving them. I talked about this at the beginning. Involve them in the things that you're doing with the baby. Have one-on-one time with them. Have time when you're sitting down to color, if it's a child who's old enough to color. When you're having time to count or having time to do other things, just you and the baby, so that they can feel that they're actually loved on. If you have a nanny, also your nanny can also give extra time to the baby. Go out and play with them and things like that. Like just small things will actually help the child understand that in as much as they're seeking time and attention from you, you are giving them time and attention, so they don't need to seek it in that way. One of the things I found most difficult when my babies were both young, like when it was toddler and infant stage, was getting out of the house. Where, like, you already carry so much with one child. Now trying to figure out how to get out with both children took me a while to understand. So tips on this: always plan for more time than you think you would need. So for example, if with one baby you used to take about half an hour to get ready, plan for 1.5. And plan for 1.5 for as long as it takes for you to actually be able to get into the routine. So I think for me, it used to take me maybe 45 minutes. I don't remember very well. Try and plan as many things as you can the night before. So for example, bottle of water, snacks that are not perishable. Make sure the bag is ready with diapers, with clothes, with etc. pack diaper for the toddler, pack diaper for the infant. Yeah, so try and ensure as much as possible is ready the night before. Then on top of that, plan for more time. Then you wake up earlier than everybody else just so that you can have a bit of downtime. Then now when you're preparing the kids, the bags are ready, you're just now prepping the kids for you guys to get out. Another thing that also I found to be very useful, especially when traveling out of town, is lists. Creating lists and just ensuring that I pack enough things for each and every child. So my out of town trips used to be very heavily packed. I'd find myself carrying portable cots, feeding chairs, things like that. But yeah, lists really used to help me for out of town trips. Sometimes the toddler decides that they want to go back to breastfeeding because now they're seeing how much time that you're spending with the infant. Allow it. I mean, if you have mental capacity to be touched and the child knows how to suck, it's fine. You can actually breastfeed too and your body will produce enough. And breast milk is so much better than cow milk. So if the baby will take it, why not? Another thing that I did is I actually pumped for my first child. My first child stopped breastfeeding when they were around 7 or 8 months. So she did want to breastfeed, but she didn't know how to breastfeed. And I used to find it so funny because she'd now tell me, Mommy, I want nyonyo. Then she comes, she puts her mouth there, but she can't suck. She doesn't know what to do with the breast. So she'd lick. I used to find that so irritating. Or she'd just sit there. So now it would just be me counting in my head saying, okay, it's just today. And then she'd take very many days because now she's not sucking, but she wants to be there. Or sometimes now I used to tell her, because haupati maziwa, let me twerk for you, come I give you a hug. So I'd hold her like a baby, and then sometimes she'd sleep. Things like that I think really used to make her feel affirmed and feel reassured that mommy is there. But if she would have known how to breastfeed, I think I would have breastfed her. And sometimes also they just do it for a very short time because, again, it's just because of the baby breastfeeding. It's not really about the fact that they want to breastfeed. So again, spending a lot of time with them really helps. Lastly, sharing becomes a whole big issue. Remember that your toddler is only used to having them as a child and they don't know how to share. I used to talk about this with my daughter all the time. So it would be like, oh, you're having a brother and you'll need to share. And it would be, you need to share me, you'll share Fafa, you'll share this, you'll share the nanny. And I talked to her a lot about that. And I feel like it kind of helped, but not completely, because at the end of the day, she's still a child and doesn't know exactly what to do. But it helped. It did help, the talking about sharing. But remember that you need to model sharing. And this is something that I was very conscious about from the time my firstborn was able to share. So if she tells me, if she has a packet of crisps or she has a sausage, I actually cut and share. And I'll cut half and I'll eat it. I won't do that thing of I'm pretending. No, I'll actually take and eat. Of course, knowing that I have another one for her. So that she knows that it's quite okay to share. If it's coloring and she's using red and I tell her, okay, fine, please share red with me. And I'd actually take the red and do that. So now when the brother came, at the beginning I used to force sharing, but I realized that was not working. So these days the rule in my house is whoever had it first has it. Because also the sharing that you try and force children is not actually what happens in real life. If, for example, I'm drinking from this cup, I have a team behind me. If one of them comes and tells me, give me a cup, I want to drink water, will I give them? I won't. So why am I trying to force my daughter who's drinking from a cup to give the brother the cup because the brother has asked? So I started I started using a different method of sharing. So the first one is whoever had it first keeps it if they're fighting. So if I had this cup first, it's me who's drinking from it. I drink, I finish, and then I give it to the person. That is one. Secondly is you do not grab, you do not do all those things, you ask. So sometimes because now the baby doesn't know how to ask, I would tell her, oh, the baby, your brother wants this, do you want to share now? Then she'd say no, and that is fine. So I'd look for an alternative. Or sometimes I'd tell her, your brother wants the ball, will you share? No. Okay, let's go find him another ball. So we'd find him an alternative and give him. Or if it's something that was actually the toy of the infant, because some toys are more appropriate for the infant stage other than the toddler stage, I'd be like, so PC wants his toy back. Do you want to give it back? No, I'm using it. Then I'd be like, oh, here's another one that's even more interesting. And most times it'll be more interesting. Here's another one that's even more interesting. Do you want this or do you want me to give it to PC? And most times she'd take the one that is age appropriate for her because it's more interesting. But if she refuses, then I'd give the alternative one to the brother. And this takes a lot of reinforcing and a lot of even you modeling it, because sharing is a lifelong thing. It's not that now that they're older that now they completely share, no, but because they know the rules, then they know what to do. They know that you're not supposed to grab, you're supposed to ask, and if you ask and the person still stays no, then you wait for your turn. And sometimes also the other thing that I do is give turns. So if, for example, if the toddler wants something that the infant has, but the infant had it first, so I'll be like, it's his turn, you'll have a turn. So I'll let the infant have it for 10 minutes or something, then I'll tell the infant who's not really understanding, but will end up understanding, now it's Modoni's turn. So I'll take it and give to Modoni and then give the infant something else. Yeah, so those are the things that I have. Oh, I've written here, affirm good deeds. Yeah, so affirming good deeds is if, for example, your toddler shares with the infant or the infant gives the brother or sister, then you affirm that and you say, oh, thank you for sharing. That was very kind of you. This doesn't mean that if the person refuses to share that you ridicule them, no, but you're just affirming the good behavior. Then, like I said before, trying to get a toy for an alternative toy, it is sometimes also telling the toddler to find a solution. So, for example, the baby wants their keys, the keys that they bite back, but the toddler is using it to act like they're switching on a car. So you'll be like, oh, the baby wants, not the baby, but you'll use the name. So baby wants the keys back. Do you want to give it? No. Okay, then now what do we do? What do we give him to play with so that he stops crying? So now you've given the problem to the infant, the toddler, to solve. So this really helps also with problem solving skills. So sometimes the baby will be like, oh, let's go and find a toy. So wherever it is that you keep toys, they'll find something interesting and give the baby. Or sometimes they'll be like, okay, fine. They want this one, maybe I can get something else. And most times you'll find that they'll actually find a good solution. Yeah, so that is what I have for today. Let me know in the comment section what worked for you and your family in terms of, just the transition between having a toddler and also adding now on an infant. What worked for you and your family? Let us know in the comment section. Remember to give this a thumbs up and share widely. And remember, you're doing great, mama. See you next time. Bye.